In the early 1980s, against the backdrop of the bustling streets of New York City, a young and ambitious real estate scion named Robert Durst seemed poised for a life of wealth, success, and privilege. But beneath the surface of his privileged existence lay a darkness that would eventually consume Durst and all those who dared to cross his path. Our story begins in 1982 with the baffling disappearance of Durst's wife, Kathleen, a vibrant young woman whose fate would remain a mystery for decades to come. Kathleen, a promising medical student with a bright future ahead of her, vanished without a trace, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and shattered dreams. And while many suspected foul play, Durst maintained his innocence, proclaiming his undying love for his missing wife even as suspicion grew like a cancer in the hearts of those who knew him best. Years passed, and still, the truth behind Kathleen's disappearance remained elusive, a haunting specter that would come to define Durst's life in the years to come. But as the investigation into Kathleen's vanishing stalled and the years turned into decades, another tragedy struck, a tragedy that would thrust Durst into the national spotlight and forever alter the course of his life. It was the year 2000 when Susan Berman, a close friend and confidant of Durst's, met a grisly end in her Los Angeles home. Berman, a talented writer and journalist, was found dead, a single gunshot wound to the back of the head, her body slumped lifeless against the cold, unforgiving tile. The circumstances surrounding Berman's death were shrouded in mystery, and many speculated that she may have been privy to information regarding Kathleen's disappearance, a theory that would only serve to deepen the cloud of suspicion hanging over Durst. But it wasn't until 2001 that Durst's dark deeds would reach their zenith, in a twist of fate that seemed ripped straight from the pages of a pulp novel. It was in Galveston, Texas, that Durst's carefully constructed facade began to crumble as investigators probed the mysterious death of a man named Morris Black. Durst, found posing as a mute woman, was thrust into the national spotlight once more, his bizarre behavior and dubious alibis only serving to further fuel speculation about his guilt. And when Durst was charged with Black's murder, the nation held its breath, waiting for justice to be served. But at a shocking turn of events, Durst was acquitted of Black's murder, his self-defense claim seemingly enough to sway the jury in his favor. Yet, even as Durst walked free, the specter of suspicion loomed large over him, casting a shadow that he could never quite shake. As the years passed, and Durst continued to evade justice, the nation watched with bated breath, wondering if the truth would ever come to light. And then, in a twist of fate that would rock the nation to its core, tragedy struck once more. It was during the filming of the HBO series, The Jinx, that Durst's carefully constructed facade finally began to crumble. As cameras rolled and investigators probed, Durst's mask slipped, revealing the cold, calculating killer beneath. And when, in a moment of unguarded candor, Durst muttered the words that would seal his fate for years to come, the nation watched in horror as the true extent of his depravity was laid bare. What the hell did I do? Killed them all, of course. The confession, captured by the unsuspecting filmmakers as Durst wore a live microphone, sent shockwaves through the nation and catapulted the case into the realm of true crime legend. For years, Durst had maintained his innocence, deflecting accusations and evading justice with a cold, steely resolve. But now, with his own words betraying him, there was nowhere left to hide. As the trial of the century loomed on the horizon, the world watched with bated breath, eager to see justice served and closure finally attained. For in the story of Robert Durst, there are no heroes, only victims whose voices cry out from beyond the grave, demanding retribution for the sins of a man consumed by his own darkness. But amidst the darkness, there is a glimmer of hope, a hope that, perhaps, justice will prevail in the end. For in a world where monsters roam free, it is up to us to stand up and fight for those who can no longer speak for themselves. And in the case of Robert Durst, the time for justice is long overdue. As the final chapter of this twisted saga unfolds, one thing is certain: the truth will prevail, and those who have been wrong will finally find the peace they so desperately seek. For in the end, it is not the darkness that defines us, but the light that we carry within our hearts.
Durst has a right to be present. He may waive that right.
As to count one, the first-degree murder of Susan Berman, with the special circumstance of intentional killing of a witness pursuant to 190.2810 of the Penal Code, it's the judgment and sentence of this court, Mr. Durst, that you be imprisoned in the state prison for the term prescribed by law, that is, life in prison, without the possibility of parole.